Welcome to the Gangcast, aka the Games and Not Games podcast. I'm your host, Janet Garcia, and joining me as always is Isaiah Smith.
Hello. How's it going?
Hello, happy Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order.
No, we're post pre-orders.
Yeah.
That was a time.
Yeah, which we're gonna get into. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. We didn't make it a not games topic because there wasn't enough to discuss, but we recently switched up our chores where you're now doing the laundry and I am doing both of the bathrooms, like not just like my bathroom, quote unquote, and mopping, which no one was mopping before I took on mopping anyway. So it's like, you know what I mean?
We
like,
mop every once in a while. It's been a while.
It's been a sparse mop history, and I'm hoping to change that under my new regime of being like the designated mop person. But that has honestly helped a lot because we are on, in my mind, an 8-day streak of having a clean apartment.
No, the apartment's been dope. It's been clean. It's been organized. It's been tidy.
And a lot of that is that you took over the laundry because I just could not. Every day I was fighting that laundry.
The laundry. I feel like if you give the laundry any leeway, it will just tumble out of control.
And all I had was leeway under my regime.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I could not take care of that laundry. So I'm very excited under our new regimen where you have the laundry and I have just an extra bathroom.
Casual thing. I like it. It's cool. It works for me.
The bathroom I can go in and do it and it's done.
Yeah.
And I can walk
laundry,
away.
Never ending.
Laundry never ends. And I think, we'll see how things progress with like if you end up liking doing laundry. I also took garbage, but garbage is like really a chore. And you took Bruce's day-to-day like kind of litter cleaning, but I still do like the bigger scrub down of the bin or whatever. I'm hoping that you like this setup because I love this setup.
So far so good.
But obviously, if you ever end up being like, this is kind of too much work, we'll figure out an in between where we both take on the laundry. But I think too, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, why did I ever have this laundry cart? Because I spend so much time where I'm like actively like doing work that I cannot walk away from because of podcasting and streaming. And laundry is a task that like kind of needs to be tended to throughout the day.
It is a very periodic check-in kind of chore.
So I'd have like one or half of a day. Like that's why I could only ever get through like one phase of the steps at any time. It's like, well, I put the laundry in and maybe during my break I'll move it, and then at 8 at night I guess it's done drying and I can decide if I want to deal with it or not.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, life is good. I feel my skin is clearing up. My hairs are ungraying. The stress is falling off of me. And with that comes a new kind of stress. Switch to pre-orders. And we're also going to talk about what we've been playing, which is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. So it's funny because it is almost what last week was, because it's like it's just a through line because the Switch 2 remains a part of our lives. So we went to go get the pre-orders.
First, we tried to do them online.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start with that. But just like the pre-orders happened. They were like opened up. They occurred on, what was that day? Was it Wednesday night? Yeah, like Wednesday night, Wednesday the 23rd. It ran on East Coast time. So retailers opened at midnight East Coast, which is 9 for us, which was great because suck at East Coast, I got nothing else to say. Like we had that 6 a.m. Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Yeah. And I'll never forgive the East Coast for that. So I feel I was kicking my feet with that East Coast, with that West Coast earliness. But yeah, the online opened there, and then and the retailers were Target, Walmart, Amazon, Best Buy. And GameStop said that they would do their pre-orders on the 24th proper at the time of the store opening, which all their locations have different hours that they open, but they also had online for, I think, was it 11 PT?
11 ET.
11 ET.
So 8 o'clock. Yeah, 8 a.m.
So 8 us. And that was the situation, and the not even implication. It was basically saying like each GameStop has their own amount of in-store pre-orders on top of whatever they offer online. And that was the setup. And then just for people to know, there's also like the Nintendo proper pre-orders that will happen. That's happening around, I think, like May 8th or something. And that is the thing where if You went to Nintendo's website and said, like, I would like a Switch. This is my account. That's where they're like, we will look at the family plan owners who have X amount of hours on Switch, and we will come down and give them a golden ticket to buy our console.
That's so insane.
Yeah. Well, I kind of get it because it is meant to like get it to actual like fans and players and not just scalpers. But I do think some of their stuff with the like they had this weird policy where it's like you had to have a family plan for 12 months and it needed to be 12 months at the time of them announcing that. Which, my beef with that is I don't think Nintendo's had, and they never will, had transparency around the perks of like the family member plan. Like, they're like the only one, because I know PlayStation, and this is where you can jump in, Isaiah, because you remember this more than me. I believe PlayStation had like something similar just with like a PlayStation account or something. Like you needed a PlayStation account or something to buy Direct or something like that.
I think you needed a Sony. Oh man, this is really, really fuzzy now. You needed some account to like log in and buy or pre-order or whatever. But like, there wasn't like you didn't need like PlayStation Plus. You know
exactly,
what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You just needed an account.
And that's what I'm getting at. And I think they did low key imply like that they'd look at like trophy level. I think was a little bit of something they threw out. I remember people talking about, oh my God, are they not going to pick me because they don't have enough trophies? But I don't know how much that, I don't think it was like you need a certain amount. You know what I mean?
Sure,
I think they just kind of were looking for.
I don't remember that. But
I think they might have just been looking for like active activity, perhaps.
Yeah. Like, oh, this isn't a new account that was made just to purchase.
But I think trophies did have like a light layer, but nothing wild. And I think Nintendo often gating their stuff behind like the NSO subscription, I think is really kind of unfair, a little unreasonable, and also like a hidden perk of NSO. Like, oh, well, if you have NSO, we'll let you do all these things, because they have the same thing for like signing up for their in-person hands-on with the Switch, like the one that was open to the public as a raffle. They have the same thing, and they don't. I would be more okay with it if they at least marketed NSO with like, oh, you also get exclusive, access to these things. But also, I guess they can't, because you don't actually get access. You get the chance at maybe getting access.
Yeah, you get raffle entry.
Yeah, but it's very strange. But there is still that for those who weren't able to secure a Switch to pre-order and are still looking for what their options are. The Nintendo proper one is still going to be an option for you next month. But yeah, we wanted to get the Switch 2. Well, specifically, I wanted to get the Switch 2. And I said, everyone that I know needs to help me try to get the Switch 2. It was mostly you. We did have my brother that we could lean on, but we kind of also realized we're like, oh, do we give him like my card info? Maybe he just kind of hangs out in the wings more than anything. So you were tasked with helping me try to secure a Switch 2 pre-order. Yeah. How did it go? Yeah. And what was your process? Because you were kind of like the leader of the timing for what we did.
Unfortunately, I'm, I guess, becoming used to these terrible pre-order openings that we now have in the modern age for things. Honestly, I don't understand how like concert people do it. We do this every time a console drops, which is like, once every like 6-8 years, you might find a console you're interested in, you want to pre-order and everything like that. People who go to concerts who be like, oh man, so-and-so's going on tour and the tickets are dropping. That happens like every 3-4 months, I feel like. Like I couldn't do that. I couldn't do this more than once or twice a year if given like without more proper preparation.
I think
or like
too,
a more involved system for
with the concerts. What's wild is you get in there and you have like a set amount of time to also like pick your seat. So you're kind of like, okay, where do I want to sit? Like, I think that part's also a little stressful. I haven't done concerts in a while. Technically with Tyler, I did that, but Tyler, the demand was not like nearly as high as, the Beyoncés, the Kendrick Lamars, like that level of artist. Sure. But also I was able, I don't know what it was through, because I don't think it was through any credit card, but I was able to do like the pre-sale. I don't know if it was just through like having an AXS account. I don't know what it was through, but I remember I was able to do the pre-sale, which was nice because it was a smaller pool I didn't really feel like I had to like fight for those tickets. I just kind of had to queue up and then went in there and was like, okay, the prices seem like kind of reasonable. And then I was like, great. And now we're done. But
gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
Yeah. So around, I learned from the PS5 in Xbox pre-orders and everything that like whatever time they say that pre-orders are opening, be ready like an hour before that, because there might be a queue you got to get in or some virtual line where then you got to wait, and then they start letting people from that virtual line into shop after a certain time or blah, blah, blah. So this one, because I know you really wanted it, super ham, and things opened up at 9. We were at the table ready, browsers open by like 7. And just like, casually refreshing the page every so often, making sure like, oh, like, is there a queue kind of forming, or is it just still like, nope, regular page. And that was all fine. I think there was like a small little blip at like, I don't know, like at 8:45 or something like that, like 15 minutes before things really opened, where I think it was like Walmart or Target or someone like kind of let people in a little bit. But for the most part, 9 o'clock rolled around. Probably. Yeah, 9 o'clock rolled around. Oh no, it was GameStop the next day.
Anyways, GameStop the next day.
So that night, 9 o'clock rolled around. We're refreshing. We're sites are getting hammered. All these sites are just going down, not loading. We're getting 404s, server not found, pages not found, blah blah blah. I think in the beginning it was originally just like Target and Walmart, even like Best Buy.
Oh yeah, let me get into the Best Buy
opening up.
So there are 3 places to shop at online for this pre-order: Walmart, Target, Best Buy. At that night, at 9 p.m. that night. Again, GameStop was going to be the next day. We'll get into that later. And frankly, both Walmart and Target are on the drop their DEI program boycott list. But there are only 2. I'm like, okay, I can't drop both of these. This is a bit much. I can't only go on Best Buy, and we're getting to why in a second, because oh my god, Best Buy why? But I was like, ain't no way I'm doing Target, because Walmart, I'll be real, I never really shopped at Walmart in my life very much. I've been at Walmart. Yeah, I was not a Walmart shopper like growing up or anything. Like I'm sure in the span of like 30 plus years alive, I've probably gone to Walmart more than you would think, but like, I don't know, 10 times, 15 times. Like,
I mean,
no, I don't go to Walmart.
I'm not saying I don't got Walmart tattooed on me or anything, but like,
we were like a Kmart family growing up.
Okay.
So we didn't, and also Walmart. I grew up in Chicago, and Walmart was actually banned from being in Chicago actually, they're still banned from being in Chicago. They're too big. Sure. So the only thing we've got in Chicago, and maybe this has changed since I've left, but we got a Walmart Go. Like, how they have like Amazon Fresh. It's like the tiny one. Now, I'm not gonna lie, like Walmart's still like, you can live in Chicago and shop at Walmart, because you can just go like outside the city, and they're like right outside the city, so it's not like it's they're 3 miles. It's not Six Flags. Like I've shopped at Walmart living in Chicago, but that's another thing. Like they're not, it's not like where we have the Home Depots. Oh, there's a Walmart. No, you're not gonna see like a Walmart, at least for the first, from 1990 to like 2015. Again, I'd have to check if that's still like a law, but that was like a thing that the city was like, you're not coming in here to destroy all our businesses. So I don't have an affinity for Walmart in that. Like, I'm not used to going to Walmart. And then like, when have I shopped at Walmart since we've known each other? When I got that one Miss Pac-Man machine. And like, maybe that's it. So I'm not going to lie, I was never really rocking with Walmart to begin with.
No, that's fair.
And I always knew Walmart probably wasn't rocking with me. I don't know what it is about. Something about the smile, the vest. You just know that they don't really care about people of color. I don't know. So I think Target definitely felt more personal to me of like a thing, and also was a bigger deal for me to like stop shopping at Target. Like, quick aside, I have a pet peeve when people act like, so then I thought, don't do this. When people act like, oh, I would never like, shop here or support this art or whatever because of what they've done, when they like never were a patron to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm like, you can't boycott something that you've never been a patron of, really. So like, while I put Walmart on, that anti-DEI list alongside Target, me stopping shopping at Walmart, I wasn't there, I will say though, with dropping Target, that would have been a time to go to Walmart had they I'll give it that, but like, it's not like when I was like, we're not going to shop at Walmart anymore. We weren't shopping at Walmart to begin with, so it was kind of whatever. That being said, I did have to throw my morality aside and allow for Isaiah to look at the Walmart list, because I'm like, there's not a lot of places to get this thing, but I'm like, we're not going to get it at Target. Don't even try Target. And I'm not going to lie, the devil was on my shoulder, y'all, because people were like, I got my pre-order at Target. Yeah. Target's doing great. Oh, I saved 5% with my red card. And also never got the red card. Couldn't qualify, whatever. But so it was definitely, you know, I'm no saint, but I didn't want to be like that kind of sinner, which spoiler, we'll talk about sinners later in the not games. So I just left Best Buy and Walmart. So I said, Isaiah, you can go do the Walmart one. I'm going to rock with Best Buy. And not that Best Buy is like the greatest business ever, but genuinely, I actually really like shopping at Best Buy. I grew up going to Best Buy a lot. You know, you love looking around at the cables at Best Buy. We have a Best Buy in the plaza in the valley. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, Best Buy. And also I like that Best Buy offered a midnight release, which Walmart does not offer, like an in-person midnight release.
Pick up kind of thing.
So I'm like, cool. I'm going to really try this Best Buy. I really want to get it from Best Buy. Best Buy, remember when you had the Gamers Club? We used to be, you and I, we were locked in. You used to sell DVDs and I'd buy the DVDs.
Yeah, I used to go there for CDs and everything. It was great.
And what did I get as my reward?
Nothing. Jack shit. You got
hard dick and bubblegum. Exactly. Which what is that a reference to for people who don't know? If you don't know, get educated. I don't know. Carefully Google it. You'll figure it out. It's like a song. It's an old rap song. 9
o'clock rolled around. Sites started opening up their pre-orders. Immediately, servers were crashing left and right. I focused Walmart. You focused Best Buy. But you were just really just taking a little break because Best Buy, I think it was like an hour or something. Like it wasn't until like another hour or something passed where like when you refresh Best Buy, you start seeing the potential to pre-order button.
I literally felt like, and I think this happened on the sitcom Friends. You know those wind-up toys, and you like put them down and they'll like move. They did I forgot what they were arguing over, but I think it was who gets to leave the baby shower, or not the baby shower, the baby's first birthday, because they all had other things they wanted to do. So they had these wind up toys. They're like, you know what? Let's just race the toys, and the winner, the loser has to stay at the party. And like one of them, like the thing didn't even go forward; it just kind of went in a circle. And they're like, no, I had that toy as the person that was assigned Best Buy. Everyone else at least got to try. They were like, oh, it was in the cart, it got whatever.
Yeah,
was no action at Best Buy. I was aghast by how bad Best Buy was.
Their site also went down the most, or went down the least. But I wonder if it's just because like there's something about the different ways you go about something like this, right? Yeah. There's the whole like analogy of a Black Friday in America, kind of like the doors open, everyone rushes in, and you grab what you can grab, and then you get in line, you check out, and you leave, kind of thing. And then there's the like video game, like a GameStop kind of open midnight release where it's like, oh, we're gonna come, everyone's gonna form a line, we're gonna hand out tickets, and then slowly one by one we're gonna let you come in, kind of thing. And it's like Best Buy clearly did the latter, where they're like, we aren't gonna just open up everything and just crash the site. We're gonna take it slow, invite the couple people in at a time, and that helped. But it also was almost like worse experience because it felt like it just wasn't moving. You know what I mean?
It wasn't consumer facing. Like there was nothing. Yeah. It didn't say I was like 1 millionth in line. It just didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But I forgot the drama with Best Buy started earlier because at 7 o'clock I started opening up my tabs and stuff, and I'm like, cool, I'm going to focus on Best Buy. I had Best Buy and Walmart, but when things went down, it's like, let's just send, since we only have two we're going for. I'm like, Isaiah, I'll just send you to Walmart and I'll just work on Best Buy. And if you get Walmart, you had extra time to come back, or vice versa, sure.
Yeah.
Or, I see my tab, oh, I'm first in line at Walmart and you're 80th or something, whatever, right? But I wanted to optimize the situation. So I was like, and I was on the phone with my brother at the time, and he's like, do you have your card saved? You have to have your card saved already. So, oh yeah, you know what? I don't know if I do. Let me do that now. I got 2 hours before the thing goes, you could not edit that card. It was logging me out every 2 seconds. The app wouldn't let me log in. And I, shout out to the MinMax Discord. MinMax, I've mentioned them a bunch. Company I work for, Patreon funded gaming stuff. We have a Discord, and in there was like a Switch 2 channel. So I went in there to see like what the vibes were. And it was like everyone trying to get the pre-orders and stuff. And I basically just spent my like 2 to 4 hours just hanging out in there. Like just seeing what's chopping up with people, posting my memes in there. I just was having a good time. But it was also nice to have like a pool of people that maybe we could flag stuff to each other of like, oh, this thing, or oh, I got my thing here, and oh no, they emailed me, they said it's canceled. Like try it again, And I was also watching Wire64, who is infamous for doing deals in the gaming space, and this is like their kind of big day where they're like going to if anyone knows something, like Wario 64 is going to be posting it first. Like I was also locked in on that page to get extra help. But yeah, so basically I got Best Buy, none ever moved for me. I never got anything. Didn't pass go, didn't collect $200. Couldn't even get the funkier bundles, like the Donkey Kong Bonanza bundle. It's like an extra like $70 or $60. Like nothing happened for me. So, but how was your time over at Walmart? Because it was a bit different than my Best Buy experience.
Yeah, no, for me, it wasn't too bad actually. It was rough in the sense that kind of like you, getting in was terrible. But I managed to get in through Walmart, and actually got pre-orders in there. It was, and even now I'm still cautious about it all, just because like so many people are like, oh, I got one at Target, but then it got canceled, or I got one at Walmart, but then it got delayed, or like
the delays were really big.
People were mentioning that like, even though they quote got through, that something happened after where they got like another notification or something that went wrong. But I did manage to get into Walmart. Got a Mario Kart bundle and a base just console only bundle. I'm ready for those to get canceled and removed at any time, but
which also
they did go through.
You're like, they went through, and I said, okay, let me try Walmart. And Walmart, I was able to get through too. I was like, wow.
Oh yeah.
And they said, you got to edit your cart. It's one per person. I said, I know, I'm one person.
Here, what do you mean?
And then we realized, IP address. Yeah. They know that your household already has one. And look, I'm all for one per person generally, but here's two things. You said one per person. Isaiah got two different bundles, which I know there are two different SKUs, but come on. Two, I don't like one per. If it's one per person or one per household, because one per, like, just be honest. Because the thing is, like, we are different people. Like, I know we're getting married, but we're not married yet. We're different people. And especially too, like, people have families, like stuff like that, roommates. Like, I think one per household is like a very, especially in our modern era where like a lot of people in their household, they are not related to or dating the people they live with.
Yeah.
Like, they are totally different entities. So
yeah.
That's a bit annoying, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because you did get two allegedly again, and they still haven't, it seems pretty secure, right? No cancellations.
No
so
emails. Far nothing, but again, it's to me, it's all still so early that I would not feel confident with just this.
Yeah.
Until like, June 4th, June 3rd, something where it's like, oh, it's shipped now, or like the pending charge is actually, confirmed, and like you actually get hit in the bank and everything like that. Like, I'm cautiously optimistic that these went through and will stay through.
And that brings us to our next decision, which was going to GameStop. Yeah. GameStop, again, I know the owner of GameStop is a Trumpy. That just is what it is. But that bit aside, moving that to the side, putting that behind, sliding that under the bed. Generally, I actually have really enjoyed shopping at GameStop. I know that's kind of a hot take. I know a lot of people, especially in my industry, really hate GameStop because, I don't know, they're a corporation. Yeah. They owned Game Informer for a long time, and people didn't like how they managed stuff at Game Informer. Also, they've done a lot of, again, unlikable things, like their weird crypto NFT stuff. And again, the owner, what's his name? Like Ryan, is it Ryan Cohen, the owner of GameStop?
I couldn't tell you anymore.
Yeah, the CEO of GameStop. People were like, this guy's a jerk. Like, no one likes this man. Blah, 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 blah. I get that. But again, generally, I've shopped at GameStop for many, many years. It is the, only video game chain, and as someone that likes video games, it's like, okay, yeah, where can I buy new games? Not a lot of places. Again, you have this Target and Best Buy. I know Walmart also sells games, and Amazon sells games or whatever, but it's like, in terms of going in, and I don't want to make a big big thing about it, but just to kind of speak on the perspective a bit, like, frankly, and I know there's like, people have their horror stories of shopping at GameStop, and the associates being mean to you, or trying to, like, oh my god, I go there and they annoy me about, like, do you want the super discount?
I feel that.
Whatever, like, it's so slow. They mostly sell Funko Pops. Like, I get all of those things, and I agree with pretty much most of them. Like, sure, But have y'all tried buying video games at other places? It can be tough. Like they don't even do pre-orders for like new games. You go up to Target and like sometimes I'll ask for a game that came out and they don't know what game it is. And I'm not like super mad at that because I understand that like you work at Target or Best Buy or whatever. You're just like a general associate worker. You're not trained, and that's, again, those are corporate problems with like how Best Buy and Target runs their stuff. They could easily have a gaming and electronics expert. It's not that hard to like, you know what I mean? It's not that hard to, you don't got to play the games. Like you just got to kind of know what's coming out and whatever. But they don't because they're trying to save money. They're cutting corners, blah, blah. At least at GameStop, generally, like in my experience, the people that work there like know about games. It's kind of why you would probably work at a place like GameStop because they ain't giving you full-time hours. It's a little gig where you probably like games. That's probably why I work there. There's a reason that almost everyone I know in games media worked at GameStop at one point. It's because you liked video games and you wanted some money. Yeah, it's a video game store. Yeah. So, again, if there's a mom and pop way to buy new, that'd be really cool. Sometimes there is. Sometimes local stores do like one or, 3 copies of Mario Odyssey, whatever. But generally, that's why I usually am rocking with GameStop. And I love the midnight releases. I know a lot of people were like, man, I miss those midnight releases. They still happen. They've happened for, obviously you need to be like in a bigger town for you to have a GameStop that has a midnight release. But I got my Nintendo Switch, the first one, through midnight release. I got Tears of the Kingdom through midnight release. Like, I've been doing this forever, and I will do this probably forever until the company goes under and or physical media for games is obliterated, which is, frankly, both super on the table for the nearish future. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm going to my roots, the thing that doesn't really fail me, walking up to GameStop and standing in that line. You were also not in charge. That sounds very dramatic, but I deferred to you on, hey, what time? Also, shout out to you for even being down. I wasn't sure if you would be. I'm like, I kind of want to go to the GameStop and get my console, but I wasn't sure if you'd be like, that's kind of too much, because it is definitely too much to be doing. Especially with us getting those Walmart pre-orders. It's like, just roll the dice on the pre-order, and I'm like, I really want my console now.
It is, but it's not. I know you really want it. For some sick, strange reason, your blood runs red and blue like Mario's outfit. And I know you wanted it, so it's like, all right, fine, whatever. And then too, like I said at the top of the show, it's like, oh, this happens like, once every 6 to 8 years. You know what I mean? How often is a new console coming out? Not very often. You don't have to wake up and get in line for hours and blah, blah, blah. Especially now in the day and age of like, for game releases and stuff like that. It's like, oh, so many more people do digital downloads and stuff like that. And like, that's just so much more of a norm that like, the days of having to stand in line, else you will not get the game or you cannot get the game, is like pretty far behind us. And so it's like, yeah, sure. This is like one of the few times where this is like a warranted kind of situation. And it was also, I'm sure, going to be fun. I thought maybe they'd do something, I don't know, they have someone to be dressed as like the Mario Brothers or something like that in line.
Did you really think that? Oh, you mean just like fans?
Yeah. Okay, like the people waiting in line are like, oh, like a family will walk by and got like everyone's a Mushroom Kingdom character or something like that. I thought it'd be something fun. It wasn't. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, no one cosplayed for the line.
But usually, you have a better chance of those things happening.
What was your recommended time? So break down the app, because I deferred to you for the timing. I had my own time in mind, but I was curious what you thought, and I ultimately went with your suggestion. So how did you come up with?
Yeah,
how did you conceptualize your strategy?
It was based on when doors open for each store, like local doors open. The local Best Buy or local GameStop that we went to opens at 11 a.m. And this is still 11 PT. Which the online GameStop sales went active at 8 a.m. PT. And I was like, all right, well, if there are people who are sicker than you, right? Yeah. Like somebody's probably already out there, right? They were just like, I'm not gonna do all this. I'm just gonna sleep out here. I got my sleeping bag. I got some, I don't know, some chips or something to keep me nourished. I'll just sleep out here. I'll wait in line. I'll be first in line.
By the way, do you think those people that were front of the line, do you think they slept there?
Yeah.
They did have like a bed.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. No question. No doubt in my mind.
That's honestly like so scary.
There before midnight.
And genuinely, at that point, you can have it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've never done overnight, and you've done overnight for Black Friday before.
I did
life,
for
right?
one Black Friday. Yes.
What were you getting that day?
A TV.
A TV?
Yeah, I didn't even get it.
Well, you didn't get it.
Yeah.
They sold out?
No, it was a long story. They did the whole like coming by. We were there. It was at Best Buy. It was for like a 42 inch like sharp HD TV. Blah blah blah. It was like, I don't know, $200 or something like that. It was a great deal. I really wanted it. Me and my friends really wanted it. We stood online. We stood outside all night. The next morning when they started, it was like 6:30 a.m. or something like that. They started giving out tickets. Like the guy who was like maybe like, we were maybe 18th, 19th in line, 20th in line, somewhere in the high teens, low 20s. And they had like, 30-ish tickets for things. The guy who was at maybe like 8th or 9th in line, somewhere around there, once he saw they started handing out tickets, he went and got like his entire family out the car to come, and every single member of that family they got a ticket for. And mind you, these are children, like as a part of this, like literal children, like literal 7, 6 years old, like in a pink puffy coat with barrettes in her hair, holding a ticket for a 42-inch TV. And that was the day that Black Friday died for me. No.
And the guy just gave like kids these tickets?
Yeah. That was the day that Black Friday died for me, that my third eye opened and I saw
Did you not like
the bullshit?
I guess like
that was a part of all
this. I guess
this.
that's a lot. Like, I don't know. That's like really weird and messed up to me.
I didn't understand why they would give these children tickets for things if they
can't buy anything. Like, I mean, on a technical level, back in the day, you can kind of, if you hand the kid money, I guess.
Sure.
But I know, like, for like GameStop, I mean, I didn't grief the worker because spoilers, they also did a ticket system at GameStop eventually, like before the store opened. I didn't ask because it's like, I don't know, like we're got no problems. And I'm like, oh, just like curious. We did see a family, like a 2 adults and 2 kids, and I was like, I'm guessing the kids can't even buy it just because I think you need a GameStop I think you need some type of way to like trace the thing, and like the kid probably doesn't have a phone number. And also I assume that I'd have to look into it, but I'm pretty sure you need to be like 13 or older to like have the classic kind of stuff that. But maybe because it was back then, it didn't matter as much. But yeah, that's how big was this family that.
Well, it was like a guy. And then, he had presumably a partner, some teenage kids, other adults who I'm assuming are maybe like, some of the kids' aunt, uncle kind of situation. And then like literal children. So like honestly, like 8 people came out of that van. Or multiple, multiple van. I'm not trying to like, I ain't trying to paint a picture that they clown car this, situation. Where all I know is that he signaled and then like a group of people walked over.
That's wild.
A family, like 2 families worth of people walked over.
8 families that's really fucked up. And I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's okay.
That's awful. Healing. That's awful. Honestly, oh my God, I want to cry thinking about that. That's crazy.
So, and this is like Black Friday too. So like we,
did you stay in line then, or like was that just like right before the store opened? Like what was?
So again, this happened to be like 6:30, something like that. The store didn't open until like maybe 8 or 9 or something like that. I think we did stay in line just because it was like, I mean, we're already here. Sunk cost fallacy. Like we'll get in, maybe we'll get some bullshit DVDs we don't want because we're here.
Damn.
Kind of thing.
Because like, all you guys wanted was that TV?
Yeah, that was the only thing we wanted. Didn't get it. So
did you like talk to the guy at all? The guy who had the family?
No, I was a teenage kid. What were we gonna do?
The guy who had the family was a teenage kid?
I was a teenage kid.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh my God, like he got to work. Like that's crazy.
No. I was a teenage kid. What am I gonna say to this grown man? Hey, you stole.
That's true. You're about to get fucking stabbed at the Best Buy outside.
So
that's wild. Yeah. No, that's some messed up stuff.
So yeah. Anyways, back to the original thing. The GameStop.
God.
Doors opened at 11.
It's hard to recover from that story. Jeez.
Online pre-orders opened at 8. I said, well, if there are sickles like you who are probably there already at midnight, I don't think there's too many people who will be there by midnight, but we should get there earlier than like, we pretend it was opening at 8 and we wanted to get there. And I was like, all right, you know what? To me, that's like we wake up at 6. maybe leave the house 6:30, wake up, brush our teeth, have some coffee or something, do whatever. We're out the door at like 6:30, or ideally we were there by 6:30, but worst case, we're out the door by 6:30, getting there well before 7.
It's not a terribly far drive at all. It's like local.
I think that if we're there close to 7 or before 7, we'll even if they got, a very limited amount of consoles, thing is too, we'll probably be
a lot of, if not all, GameStops posted a piece of paper in front to say like what their inventory was for the pre-orders. But I didn't get to see that yesterday. I wasn't out. I didn't go there. And I tried calling, but no one answered, which I get. They probably have like a million things. It would have been cool. Anytime, whatever. Sometimes when GameStop's really slammed like that, they will have like their voicemail machine
has that
says the information. I do think they should have done that for like yesterday. But whatever. Because also I think sometimes that's not even the voicemail. I think sometimes that is the person picking up saying, welcome to GameStop where you can pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2 of tomorrow. We have So actually maybe it's not always voicemailed and it's actually just the worker, but whatever. TLDRs, I didn't know how many were going to be there either. And my idea was not that different from you. I was thinking that we woke up at 7 and we headed over, but I'm like, 6 is not that different than 7. We'll do the 6. Unfortunately, didn't get a lot of sleep the night before because we like conceived of this plan at like 11 o'clock. So by the time I got to bed, it was like a regular 12:30. And because I knew we're like, we'll wake up and kind of get out the door. You don't have to rush like crazy, but like as fast as you can, like as fast as you reasonably can. So for that reason, I also like picked my outfit the night before. I packed my bag. You were making fun of me packing my bag.
Yeah.
What did you bring with you because you also packed your bag before?
I wouldn't even say I packed my bag. I grabbed my bag the day of. I grabbed my bag, made sure I had my portable charger in there just in case we were there for a very long time. And I threw your 3DS.
Right, because you recently bought Bravely Default 1 because you're like, that's the only thing on Nintendo Switch 2 I wanted, so I'm just gonna buy it at the retro store.
Yeah.
So I brought like a water bottle. I brought my coffee because I made a coffee that morning. I brought a breakfast bar thing as something to eat. I brought my phone, 2 portable chargers, a Game Boy Advance, a PSP, a bunch of like Game Boy and GBA games, and only 2 PSP games. I brought Loco Roco 2 and Jean d'Arc. And I think that's everything I had with me, pretty much. Oh, and I brought, just for fun, in case we wanted to do any content while we're in line, I brought some mics and like, in case we wanted to like record some TikToks or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that. And we were there. We got there at 6:47 a.m. and we were 39th and 40th in line.
Yeah.
Were you surprised by that outcome?
A little bit. I definitely thought we were going to be closer to like the mid 20s in line, maybe even like, high 20s, low 30, like a 30th kind of thing. The fact that there was already like, 36 people or something like that ahead of us. And this is also assuming that, I don't know if all these people are going to be here for the reservation, if people are just here kind of like with their friends or family or whatever. So like, it always kind of went a little back and forth, but
let me grab the amount that our store did have, which I think was like 80 total. And they had a little bit more. Yeah. So they had 54 Mark Art bundles, 28 singles. But yeah, I mean the spoilers is it worked out. So yeah, we got the console. I got the bundle. I got the controller. I got a pre-order on Donkey Kong Bonanza. I pre-ordered an SD card, and I forgot about the cases. But I just bought them after the fact online somewhere. I'm like, I just need some thin case. I got some, and I actually ended up getting just 2 cases because even though you have not fully, have not fully declared that you're keeping your Switch 2, but I mean, I already know that you're keeping your Switch 2, but can you tell the people what you're thinking for your Switch 2 before we go into what we've been playing?
So, haven't tried Bravely Default in line at the store on the 3DS, which, God, that console...
This man was dragging the 3DS, and I was like, you will not erase our culture.
The screen is so bad, and it's so hard to see in the 3D.
It was a long time ago.
Sucks.
You said you thought it looked cool.
was like, man, I really don't want to play this game. I want to play this game. I don't want to play it on this 3DS. So do I really want to get a Switch 2 just for this old game being remastered and ported? I'm still torn. Only because we already have the reservations in hand. I still don't know that I'll keep it.
Yeah.
Because again, there really isn't like, I mean, you know, obviously I'm looking to get Pokemon later this year. If you're getting Bonanza, I would probably play that. I don't want to buy it myself for sure. And maybe like a Metroid Prime. If I could play the other Metroids, I'd be more interested in playing Metroid Prime on the Switch 2. But that's also coming to Switch 1. Like I have a Switch 1 that I barely touch.
It looked. It looks so ugly on Switch 1.
Yeah, but I think all Nintendo games kind of look a little ugly. It's not, you know.
And you know, maybe we'll revisit this, I guess, when we do like maybe like the launch day or something episode or whatever. But the other thing that you mentioned to me, you're like, I kind of just like want one because like you're gonna have one and I'm not gonna have one. Yeah, that's
the other thing. I'm a hater.
Yeah. This is my biggest hater. So obviously he's gonna have one.
I know if you have one, you will.
He pre-ordered 2 on Walmart just so I couldn't get one. That's how much of a hater is.
No, I pre-ordered 2 on Walmart just in case some of them drop, and I know you want to. I did that for you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trolling you. But yeah, he's. I think, you know, what are we on? Episode 35. If you didn't already know Isaiah, I think people have gotten to know you more through the show. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're a keen listener, you know this man is keeping the Switch too. But we will we'll revisit that.
I'll reconvene after I speak with my good friend Rob Zachney and
oh yeah, he's like, is Rob also like getting something he doesn't need? Maybe then I'll
what a fellow buyer of things we don't need will do.
Let us know on the comments and on like Blue Sky or just wherever if you got your Switch 2. Spoilers, we just had to pull the show in the middle of the show. Maybe that we'll end up doing something with that, but it was quite the ordeal. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we could have talked about that forever because it was so many things happened. It was such a long process. But ultimately we did it. We and they will have our midnight release. That's actually at 9 p.m. for us. So also I'm getting the Switch 2 super early. I'm very excited, and I'm sure we'll tell the stories of what that launch night looks like, and maybe that's when we can get more into like line culture and stories because there's always the conversations there and all that. Yeah,
late night stream that day.
Yeah. So let's briefly just get into what we've been playing. We're contextually kind of early in this game. I'm 7.5 hours in. You're probably now 10, 12 hours in. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe somewhere around there.
You're like 4 hours ahead of me roughly. But we've been playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which like it's funny because again, I felt like I could have talked about Switch 2 forever, but I'm like, no, we have to make sure we get in a little bit of Clair Obscur because we've been talking about it so much since starting it. Isaiah, what is this game, and what are your initial like kind of thoughts on it?
So this game is a very French themed RPG, turn-based RPG with quick time / real time sort of elements to it. The story is a very, very high level is there's this creature that has like almost like a countdown clock kind of written on a distant mountain or something, and every year it counts down by 1. She's called the Paintress. She writes a new number, and the people of that age die.
Yeah. Thanos snap style.
Yeah,
they
like
just die.
Just dusted, right? And it's this big thing culturally. The nearby continent, whatever, like can see the number in the distance. They kind of make it almost like a holiday for when the new number is going to get written, and people say their farewells and blah blah blah. Your Boothang, your ex-girlfriend,
yes,
gets Thanos snapped by the Paintress, and you are an expeditioner, so you are a part of the team of people who will try to go to the Paintress's island and defeat her to stop her from writing the numbers and presumably killing people.
Yeah.
None of it's really known in the beginning of the game, so it's impossible to spoil some things for sure.
There's a little bit of an implication early on. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not talk to everybody on that opening area. I'm like, I want to get to the game. Okay, so then you do know that there's like an implication that like the Paintress might also be kind of like in a way doomed to do this. Like there's kind of implication that she's not necessarily evil, but she is like the antagonist.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe I don't know why she has to do this. Like I'm not really sure about all that, and I don't think there's any lore answer yet, but she too is trapped by her own painting. I don't know, like whatever. Yeah, that's basically what it is. That's a pretty comprehensive setup. And structurally too, again, this is very early. When you get there, like your team gets sort of obliterated, and then some people get lost also. So it's kind of a classic. It's funny because a lot of RPGs, it's like you build your party. This is more like you're rebuilding your party. Yeah. Like your party didn't exist at one point, but it starts out with just you. Very early, you get the second member, and then the members go from there. And again, if you've seen key art, screenshots, it's like, oh, there's more than one. You know, you have a party. That's not really a spoiler. And you know, I'm early enough that I only have 3. I think you have a little bit of a bigger party than me. But yeah, I am. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think we are very similar.
We have the same thoughts. Yes.
I think I'm a little hotter than you.
Oh, really? I thought you were gonna say you're meaner than me.
No. So I think the game is good. I know people have been praising it. If you look at the Metacritic, I think it was sitting at like a 92 or something. People, and there are tons of amazing things about the game. I love the culture, right? The sort of like very, as an American, it feels very Frenchy, which is kind of cool. You don't really see like French culture, French accents, French personalities.
They do a lot with the clothing.
Yeah,
French,
you don't really see that
like
in games a lot here, and so like, oh, that's actually very cool. But I think that people have been very highly praising this game, and I'm like, well, the game is good. What I'm playing and what I'm seeing, great. I'm interested to play now. I want us to play later when we're done recording and cleaning and I edit the podcast and everything like that. I am thinking about playing more of this game.
Yes.
However, there are still so many things about this game that, to me, I'm like, how is this close to 90? How is this close to a 90 on Metacritic? There's so many just like unniceties. Like, what was the opposite of a nicety?
Baddities.
Yeah, there's so many baddities about this game that like you would think get better with time, and it really doesn't. It gets less severely bad, but it never becomes good. Like the UI in this game is atrocious. It is, you can't tell what's highlighted. You can't tell what you're actually focused on. The telegraphing, the game uses a parry dodge system.
Yeah, that is the core of the game. You have to be willing to, if you're like, I cannot stand dodging in a game or parrying, like throw the game away.
Yeah.
And the system is good, but I'm just being clear that like you need to be dodging or parrying in this game, or you like cannot play it. It is all it's based around dodging and parrying.
Yes, it is turn-based kind of movement, but on your attacks, you have these kind of like quick time event button prompts to do additional things. And when an enemy attacks, you have a unprompted window to parry or dodge.
Yes.
And I think that in its own is fine if the UI was not so loud. It's very hard to see what is going on when an enemy is doing a move sometimes that you can't even like, there's no like prompt or signal for when you're in the window to parry or dodge.
Yeah,
you just kind of have to know it based on the animation.
Not really a spoiler, but like later on in the game, they introduced a jump, which is like in lieu of dodging or parrying. They're like, some things can't be dodged or parried. You jump, which is a jump, just a dodge that you do in the air, but whatever. Dodge, it's a different button. Like you press X and then you can like counter with R2. That has a very like just like clear, like there's a flash. Like
the thing is, I think that flash is really about like, oh, this is something that needs to be jumped. It's still not even about when to jump.
Really?
Yeah. Like the move that they're going to do is a jump dodge move. Okay. It is not like you see that and that's when you jump.
I've been jumping when I see that.
I mean, and
like, I don't know.
The window might be, big enough that it kind of accounts for that. I would not count for that. I would be like, that's a great rule of thumb.
We have to explore that then, I guess. Yeah. I'm not. And also, fun fact, I actually, when that happens, when it's like jump and then hit R2, I genuinely cannot tell if I take damage or not. Yeah. It's happening too fast. Yeah. But I think as far as for me, I don't really have the same beef as you in terms of the telegraphing. I think obviously, you know me, I'm bad at dodging and parrying, so I would love a big old flash animation. That would be great for me. But I'm not mad that it doesn't have it because I get that. So a key thing to mention here is that you can dodge or parry or jump out of the way of everything, which means on a technical level, you don't have to ever take damage in this game. If you're good enough at this game, you take no damage, which is like very unique to, I think, like a turn-based RPG. Normally, like no matter what, you're basically taking damage other than like luck. Like obviously, like in a game like the Atlas games, sometimes you get lucky in your character like auto, like, oh, it missed, and you're like, oh great, like maybe you have luck and speed enough, or you do a buff that's like a agility or something. There's ways that you can like not take damage, but every other game you take damage. Like that's part of what you have to do, and you don't have to do that in this game. And I think that's really cool and unique. I also think the way they manage your AP, which in most games that would just be called MP, which also, can we just call it MP? Why we got AP, MP? And I feel like half the games pick AP, half the games pick MP. Anyway, whatever. It's your mana, basically. It's what lets you do your moves that aren't just a basic attack. And the way that can recharge, like if you do a basic attack, you get one, but you can also like get one from like dodging or parrying. And there's other like abilities that might have additional like contextual ways to get more. Like for instance, like one of my characters, if she does a certain move, it automatically it costs 3 AP to do that move, but she gains 2 AP when she does the move. And like that's cool. And you can kind of play with that and like strategize in that way. And that's unique in that like I think so many other RPGs rely on sort of either maybe like amulets that can eventually like regain you like AP, MP, or just like, consumables. Like, when I'm playing like Persona 5 Royal or even Metaphor Fantagio, it's like you go until you kind of run so low on that you either consumable your way through it or you rest. And in this game, you don't actually ever have to rest. And that's it. Again, if you're really good at the game, you can just like, I don't know, infinitely like run over the game, which I think is like really cool because it's sort of, it makes something incredible achievable, and it makes you want to be like, well, I want to be that good. I'm going to try really hard. And it makes the gameplay compelling. And this is also one of the few like turn-based RPGs where I genuinely feel like any fight I can be like fucked over. Like I can just like, I can fight a regular like 3 grunts, and like if I make the wrong move in the wrong order and I don't dodge right, like I could die to like a random group of enemies in the field. And that's never true in like any other RPG.
Yeah, it'd be like if Caterpie is like a threat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like everything like, really is a threat.
Oh, damn,
but not in a way where it's like, oh my god, it's like so hard, but in a way that's like kind of refreshingly challenging.
Yeah, like you need to be aware and alert and like almost intentional with everything you do, because if you slip up, the game will punish you. Yeah, which is refreshing. You know what I mean? Like that is nice. There are a lot of great systems in this game. I think just the combat's really good. Everything else is not. The usability is, I think, where the game really falls apart in a lot of ways. And everything, I think, does just come back to usability from, like I said, the UI and like knowing what's in focus, or some things get button prompts, some things don't. But like everything's loud and noisy on screen, so it's even hard to just see what's going on in order to react to
something that sort of was illuminatory for me was the realization that when you go into combat, the set that you are fighting on is pretty much identical to the set that you were traversing on. And I think with that sameness comes that a little bit of that lack of clarity. I think there's a reason why when you go into a battle in Pokemon, suddenly like the stage is kind of different, or even like Metaphor, the stage is kind of different. It is kind of like, I think in focus, like that term you use, the idea of in focus, is a really good one, because it is kind of like everything is in focus so that like nothing is in focus. I think they're all, and I wouldn't like say makes the game like worse inherently, but there are times where like I showed you like a clip that I took last night where the way the camera like panned around, I like literally could not see like an enemy attacking me. Yeah. Like I just kind of had to guess what it would be. I also think another thing that I personally don't like about the game is, and this is like definitely like a design choice, is there is no way to scan or like have in the menus like an enemy's weakness. It's just like you have to just like remember it, and I don't like that. I don't think it introduces like an interesting degree of friction into the game. I think it's just kind of inconvenient, and I think it's a way to sort of like falsely lean into the like the game is inherently is genuinely challenging in ways that I think are good and make sense. I think the memorization point is like a fake layer of intrigue. It's like, I guess you didn't want to tell me like the answer because then maybe you think it'd be too easy, but like, I don't know, what do you want me to write down on a napkin? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm still a bit miffed on that aspect, but I think the real lead that we're kind of bearing and our like biggest criticisms of the game, because for me, it's not just the menus being weird when you go to like the pause or the touchpad menu on PS5 or whatever. The number one thing where I'm like, this is like really grating on me for this game is exploring in the world.
Oh yeah.
Because like the menu, I can kind of live with like, you know what? When I go to abilities, it's like a little chunky. I could totally live with that. That happens in a lot of RPGs. I don't think it makes it excusable, but it is kind of like I don't know, like what is that deep? The exploration for me is that deep. I don't know where I am in this game. I don't know where to go. I don't know what's critical path. I don't know how to explore and find. And there's stuff off the beaten path too, like optional bosses or like cool items and cool things. And like it all looks identical to me. I think the environmental design is so samey that I never know where I am. When I get out of battle, I'm like completely disoriented. I don't know what direction is what. There's no mini map. There's no map in the structure of the game is like an overworld and like kind of like little worlds, basically. When you go into like, and the little worlds are actually where the game happens mostly. Like the overworld is just kind of like, there's some enemies, but it doesn't seem like it's really like a lot to do with like the main game. When you go into those areas, there's literally no map. There's no map when you pause. There's no map on the touchpad. There's nothing. The only thing you have in this game is a compass that says north, east, south, west, which is what does that mean to me? It doesn't have any information. And even the overworld map, it's one of those like placemat kind of maps that kind of just shows like big distinctive hubs, but not like additional stuff. Like I do not know where the F I am in this game.
And some stuff, I think things could be mitigated across the board if it was done slightly different. Like when you're in the like in the world map where you're moving around and all you have is the compass. If it was like, oh, generally the level is built so that north is always the way to go. Cool. Then sure, give me a compass and I can know that if I'm veering left or right or east or west or whatever, I'm going down the beaten path and I'll circle back and then go north. Fine. Or like if there was a big, I don't know, light pillar in the distance that like signify like, oh, this is the objective. Cool. I know that if I go towards that, that's main path, and if I go off of it, that's like side content, whatever. But there's none of that. It's just corridors after corridors, and the corridors go all types of which way. And one of those ways is a critical path.
A lot of them loop together.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, well,
you can't get lost because of that, but you can get lost because of that. It's like, it's weird. Like you can never, like if you go down every path, you'll eventually find the right one. Yes. But that is like the worst type of exploration.
Yeah. The way I describe it, which this does sound very mean, but it is my truth, is they somehow made a mostly linear game where I'm always lost.
Yeah.
I've never played a linear game where I'm always lost. Like I think that is I am mind boggled on how this is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it's funny because like I am really enjoying the game. Again, I think the combat's really great. It does this. There aren't like I've been trying to figure out how to describe this properly, and I haven't figured it out yet. So I'm not going to figure it out here. But basically, with me in games, I play so many games. I beat a good amount of games. I mean, we're kind of similar in this way, where it's like it's almost like food, right? Which I guess some people don't feel this way about food, but like I'm passionate about food and games, where it's like I can eat at a lot of restaurants and like have like decent meals. We live in LA, but like a place where I'm like, we have to come back here, that's rare. And it's not because I don't like food. I love food.
Yeah.
But it's like, when we look around, there's plenty of like pretty good, but like something that feels like, yeah, I want to come back here. I need to eat. That's rare for me in games because not a lot of games I think grab me in that way. Even games that I think that I like and are good. There's a good amount of times where it's like I like a game fine and I think it's cool, and I might even still be like thinking about it years later. Like Botany Manor is like that for me. Like I talk about that game pretty often. I think it's a really cool game. Ultimately, it's like 3 out of 5 good, not great game to me, and I still stand by that. But it has like stood in my mind for a long time, and yet even a game like that, when I played it, and maybe in part it's because I was doing it for a review. It's like. Yeah, like I played it and I finished it and I liked it, but I wasn't like, I can't wait to get back to Botany Manor. And that's not because Botany Manor wasn't a good game. I thought it was a good game, but it did not compel me I didn't have that special like connection with it. And I do feel that connection with like Clair Obscur. I do feel that with like Blueprints. Like there are certain, even to a degree, I think I kind of felt that with Split Fiction. Obviously, we finished that pretty fast, but it was like, yeah, like I'm enjoying playing this game. And sure, you could say, oh, I have this work and I have this other stuff, but like I am, it transcends all of that in a way that's like somewhat rare. And I think Clair Obscur has that for me, but it also like it has a lot of problems. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's so I don't want to discount that because I think it has definitely achieved something special for me in that regard. But yeah, like it is a messy game to me. 8 hours in. It's also like a very personable game though. Like I think, it had that weird like parkour platforming, and like the platforming in this game is bad. And I think they know it's bad. And they're like, it'd be funny if we made a parkour area and then he gave you a swimsuit at the end. And that was funny. And I did like that.
Yeah.
But this game feels more akin to like, and I say this both as a compliment and a criticism, Kena Bridge of Spirits than it does like Metaphor Fantagio, which is to say that like it's a really good, cool game that has some really high highs in a genre that maybe isn't like as attended to. Not that like we're hurting for JRPG-esque games. I know obviously it's French, so it's not a JRPG, but a lot of people bring up JRPGs because it has a lot of the design sensibilities of what a JRPG has. So yeah, because it's like games like Kena, games like in that ilk, it's like, okay, it does like some things really good, but it's also kind of like limited and has like very distinct flaws. And that's how I feel about Clair Obscur. Like it is a really cool game with really incredible combat, but like, holy cow, is exploring this game like kind of hell. And then also even some of the systems are like kind of unnecessarily confusing. Where like I kind of read through some tutorials and I'm like, Isaiah, what are they actually trying to tell me in this? And you're like, it's just upgrade this thing. I'm like, okay, cool.
Which when you get there, please let me know. There's a character that kind of joins your party, and when they first join your party, there's a little prompt that shows up that's like, oh, do you want to do the every character has kind of like their own unique mechanics to them, right? Like the main cover guy, his whole thing is like building up a charge to do like a big move. And then like the very first Loon, the next character you get kind of like has these like elements that she sort of conjures with her moves, and then she can like spend these elements to like do more powerful things or whatever. So everyone has like a unique mechanic to them. And I just got a new character who they give you this little prompt that's like, oh, hey, do you want to do so-and-so's tutorial? This will never be offered again. And because the UI is so bad, I accidentally hit, no, I don't want to do the tutorial. And so I don't even really know how her powers work. Like I'm trying to learn through trial and error, but it's like, well, it'd be really great if you just give me a secondary. Are you sure you want to skip the tutorial? There was none of that. You hit no.
Or just a way to do that in the menu.
Or a way to just do that later on. It's a video game. Why can I not just launch into the tutorial after
this? Is where, and I pride myself in being a critic that both giveth and taketh away kind of thing. Again, I drag Rebirth a lot, but Rebirth does have some things that are good, which I have spoken on before. And like one of the things that I really like in Rebirth is, as much as I hate Chadley as a person and as a robot, I don't, he's kind of both, I guess. The battle simulator was great for that because it just had those tutorials ready to go for the characters. Yep. I will say too, another thing that not that Final Fantasy VII is the only game to have done this. It's just the game that I know it for. Clair Obscur does have some really cool, like fun little surprises. Like I really like that when you unlock like the first merchant, like there's a thing where if you defeat the merchant in battle, you can like shop like a special wear, which is kind of not the same, but it reminds me of how in the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy that hasn't been finished yet, they have like, if you defeat the summons, you can like, you can have them, but also they have the like, you go to the shrines and you can make fighting the summon easier. Like I think stuff like that, I really enjoy when a game can introduce, like take the mechanics it already has and sort of recontextualize them to create like new fun. And I think seeing that in Clair Obscur was really exciting, even though it's like, oh, it's just another battle, like you fight people all the time. I'm like, yeah, but like now it's like in conversation with like these items and they're kind of like have like a very synergistic thing to them. But yeah, maybe again, we're not done yet. Maybe things slightly change. Maybe I don't see myself warming up to this. I know some people were like, oh, it doesn't really bother me as much anymore. And I had people on Blue Sky mention to me that, and someone mentioned this to me on my stream as well, that they had to look up like guide videos to try to like learn how to read the environment of the game. Which if we're at that point, like, I don't know, honey. Like, I just don't think you designed it in a way that's that great. But what about you? Do you think these pain points are going to persist? Do you think there's like hope in that regard?
I think I don't think currently in the game these things will improve. I think that the team can definitely improve things with like a patch or update or something like that. But like, I think that this is just the kind of way the game is. This is the game they made.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, right? We want to hit a date, or the team is small, so like there's some stuff that they had to like kind of sacrifice here and there, like again with usability or whatever.
The obsession with like immersion through way of no maps. I never understood it. Never understood it. We'll never understand it. I think that is silly and unnecessary. I've never been more immersed by not having a map in the game.
If it was intentional.
I think the no map was intentional, I feel like, but they never admitted if it was intentional.
I think they just like really, it feels like they pulled things that they liked from like a From game, like a Elden Ring or something.
Yeah.
But not even that they didn't like know why it worked in Elden Ring or like what else Elden Ring had that made it work or made it like viable, but just more like they pulled a lot of things from like an Elden Ring or a FromSoft game. And like some of the things they pulled are really good, but then they also pulled things that don't really work well. And so like they just kind of took some of the good and the bad for better or for worse when they really could have just pulled the good.
Well, yeah, they have I know we're like kind of getting to the end of the segment here, but they have their save system is basically like the campfire system. They have like instead flagpoles that like glow a little bit, and that's where you can like save. You refill like a vial of elixir, which is what can heal your party. You only have one of them. It refills every time. Like that's the element that is Soulsy. Like the rest of the game is not Soulsy, to be clear. Because it's funny, I brought up the Souls thing a lot too, because they have
combat.
They have the same save system, and I think another layer to that is following Souls as well. They limit where you can spend your attribute points and where you can gain your skills, where you can only do them there. I think that's annoying. I find that to be unpleasant, to not be able to just do it whenever I want. And people have said there's like enough saves that it's like fine. And I think there are almost enough saves, because also part of me getting lost all around, and also enemies respawn when you save, just like in Souls. So it's like, I don't know. I have found myself having to do a couple quick run backs or a couple. There's not like, I think the issue is, and I can't really speak to Elden Ring's design as much because I didn't play enough Elden Ring to like get a sense of the design. You did, so maybe you could. But part of what's so cool about like linear style Souls games, which I would say like this game kind of has like that. It's not even wide linear. It's like less narrow linear, because I wouldn't say it's like, I think maybe there are the same amount of alcoves in God of War. I don't know, but I think God of War like Ragnarok is more like wide than like this is.
I think it's just more intuitive on where to go.
It's also more, but that's kind of my thing though, with like Demon Souls, for instance, or Lies of P. That's like a pretty linear, like you go to a little area, you got like a little world, but it's so knowable and almost memorizable, and like the environments in those games really become their own character, and you have like this great system of like looping around where you're like, oh my god, like, and this opens a shortcut. Like this doesn't have any of that. It's like so. Again, I cannot emphasize enough. I look at this environment and I feel like I'm drunk, because everything looks the same. Everything like weaves together in the same way. Like it just, I don't know. Like, and I kind of hate to like harp on so much because it is so negative, but I just, especially as like a platformer fan where like level design is like king, there's just so not a natural eye line for things. There's like, I don't know. I've never been so lost in a game, I think, than this game. And I've played many games that have been heavily critiqued for navigation. I played Control. I think Control's way more gleamable. I think even that Star Wars game with a horrible map. It's like I've never not known what's going on more. And also, frankly, the level design also not that interesting. Like it is a lot of the like you go down a hallway and there's like a single shard of an item. Like there's not a lot of interesting things to do in the environment. And when they do add intrigue, it's not like well done. Like the jump in this game is really bad. So when you have to platform, it feels bad.
And it's, I think, especially bad.
Only good thing is the hookshot.
The hookshot's great.
Because you zoom around.
I think that's also very, very bad because there are so many interesting and good set pieces like in the game.
Yeah.
Like every area there'll be like a sunken ship in this one area, or like this crumbling building that's like unique and bespoke. Like this is the only building like this is the only crumbling building like this where maybe you can jump on it or go in and out of it or blah blah blah. And it's like those things are very interesting. Or they'll have like these statues of like, you know, decrepit enemies that have been painted because they're like warriors or something. Yeah. And it's like, oh, like there's so much world building here that is cool and interesting, but it's just done in a way that it all just blends together, even though you have these very unique pieces that you just still get lost.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what they could do without changing fundamentally what the game is.
Yeah.
And so I fear that there's nothing. Like it's just, this is the game. And it's like, well, that's a little unfortunate. It is a good game, but it's just surrounded by, you know what? We gotta ask Steve to play this. I want to know what's the accessibility rankings for this game, because I feel like it can't be high.
Is gonna rate it as well, but I don't even think it's. I mean, I think they also have, unfortunately, a lot of indie teams. There's not a lot in the way of accessibility, at least maybe in design. It's more accessible than I can perceive. What I mean.
Sorry, yeah.
Yes, but the settings are also like pretty minimal. I know I keep trying to wrap this up, but the last thing we should probably give a slight nod to is just the narrative. I really like the narrative of the game. I think it's a really interesting story. I think they do a really good job bringing in cutscenes fairly regularly, but having them be short enough that I don't feel like they're getting in the way of my combat. I also think the pacing between, as much as I don't like the exploration, the amount of enemies they put per area, I think is very appropriate. I don't feel like, oh my God, if I ever have to loop around, I'm like fighting 800 enemies or anything like that. But I also feel like I'm getting combat done regularly. It's like the flow of the game feels very good and natural.
Also, more than comparing it to like Metaphor, which is just like the other most recent big acclaimed JRPG, there is more of a like you can avoid combat in this game.
Yeah.
Where like the enemies who are walking around in a Metaphor-like fashion, the enemies walk around and you can go up and like interact with them, and like that's when battle starts. Or like a Pokemon, like when Pokemon actually showed up in the overworld and whatnot. It's like, oh, but you can like, enemies are fairly slow, and I don't think they really chase you. I think they just kind of like
not really
stay in their little patrol zone.
They can spot you and follow you, but I think their like cone of awareness, I don't think is that big, so it is like kind of easy to get around. So like so far you can I would say almost very easily avoid enemies if you really like, if you need to go back to a flag because you're low on health or something and you're just trying to make it to that next checkpoint. I think you could almost very easily like just avoid enemies. I also did the I don't know how well or like how consistently it works, but I've done the escape a couple times too, and it's worked every time for me. Like I've only done it like 3 times.
I think I did it like once, just to kind of like see what it was about. It worked.
Yeah, it's pretty chill. So that's cool. But yeah, that's our early take on Clair Obscur Expedition 33. But it's been fun. I think this is the first game in like
people are bad. Oh, some baddies on your team.
Oh yeah, everyone's hot in this game. The main guy looks like Robert Pattinson,
and chiseled and sexy and weird.
And I appreciate that also the kid is normal. Like they didn't make the kid weird.
Yeah.
There's no like the weirdly like sexualized.
Kid,
yes, like even the fact that like there's a part after the parkour thing, you get some swimsuits for the cast. You don't get a swimsuit for the kid, even like at all, which I think is cool. Not that like having a swimsuit for the kid is inherently sexual, because I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that they like don't have her in a swimsuit is kind of like cool, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think canonically she's like what, 16, 17?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely a minor, but she's not like 12. You know, she's like old enough that she's, you know, fighting in the expedition or whatever, but young enough that she doesn't need to be in the expedition. It's like, no, you got like 15 years left. She's like,
she said
I don't want these tough ass years.
So she might be actually closer to like 18 or something like that.
She might be. I don't know. I forget. She did say her age. Like her age is known. I just kind of forgot how old she is. But she doesn't need to be doing this expedition with these old people.
Yes.
Yeah, but there's some really nice like writing in the game. Like there's a funny line where like the main guy, I think his name's Gustav, right?
Yeah.
He's like talking to her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, like you're an old man." He's like, "There was a time where 33 was young," and I'm just like, I thought that was really funny. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So weirdly, a mixed bag, but like I'm focusing on enjoying the parts that I like to eat, and I'm just trying to move the other parts to the side. Is basically kind of how I am. This is the trail mix of games where I'm like, I really hate these raisins, but like, oh, I love the almonds and the M&Ms or whatever, I guess.
I would say it's more like, it's like,
but also you have to eat some of the raisins to
it's like eating chips in bed. It's like it's enjoyable. I enjoy doing it, but there's just so much like chore and menial task to doing it after, like either associated with it, where it's like you're gonna get crumbs in bed and you have to clean the crumbs, but you're gonna enjoy the chips while you're eating them. Like it's like I'm enjoying the combat. I like getting the story.
Or what's
I'm just not
mix?
enjoying the things in between the combat and the story.
What's the mix of chips that includes Sun Chips? Because I was always like, fuck these Sun Chips, man. Like, what? Hold on, what? Munchies. It's like kind of giving munchies, but like if they had one thing in it that you also hated, though. Because I know some people are like, and I agree, the Sun Chips, they get more of a bad rap than they need to. But yeah, we'll think of the perfect metaphor for this game as we progress.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it again. Again, good game.
It's like the Sun Chips if they were really stale, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. There's something there that's unsavory. But yeah, we'll keep chipping away at Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The only game that has pulled us away from blueprints successfully. Yeah. Which granted was that like 2 weeks, man. But hey, I don't make the release calendar. These are just when the games came out. So yeah. And for the not game section, we are going to talk about Sinners. The movie Sinners. We will start with some non-spoiler thoughts. And then get into spoilers, so we'll have that marked, timestamped, denoted for y'all to skip over in case you haven't seen Sinners yet. But if you haven't seen Sinners, it's funny because I heard about it and I was like, everyone says this movie's really good. And it has Michael B. Jordan in it. And that's really all I knew about Sinners going in. And then I was like, oh, apparently this is a horror movie. Is that still okay with you, Isaiah? Like, what are you thinking? And then I'm like, I Googled how scary is Sinners. And it said, Sinners is like kind of a thriller. And I'm like, that's not too bad. And ultimately, yeah, I would say it was not too scary at all.
Yeah, it definitely is more of that thriller vibe than like horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is great for me.
There's like
a big baby.
One jump scare in the movie, maybe two or something. And by that, I mean, honestly, just like loud sound that happens abruptly more so than like... something wild happening on screen. And also so much of the movie, like there is kind of an ominous undertone to aspects of the movie, like even just early on, but so much of it is like almost like slice of life story of just like what's going on. I mean, you know, something bad's going to happen just in the sense that you're like, okay, well, this is like a horror film.
You know,
so it's
something's
like,
going to happen.
I actually didn't even see a trailer for this movie before I watched it. Yeah.
Oh,
all I knew was Sinners, Michael B. Jordan, good. Thriller, not too scary, maybe. Wow. That's all I knew.
All right.
I didn't even know Michael B. Jordan was playing two people. I was like, what's going on? Like, okay, cool. Slay.
That's so funny.
Yeah, what did you know going into it? And then, and then I thought it was good. That's again, thoughts.
No, it's a great movie. Going into it, I knew that it was Ryan Coogler, who did Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, incredible modern day director, who is really making a name for himself with some just incredible movies. I think he did also like one of the new Creeds, if I'm not mistaken, the ones with Michael B. Jordan. I think he hit his sort of anchor is Michael B. Jordan. If Michael B. Jordan has been in a movie in the last couple of years, I feel like it's probably been a Ryan Coogler movie, which is pretty cool. And yeah, no, it's dope. I knew that again, it was something creepy going on. It was something somewhat scary, but I didn't know the exact like threat of the movie or anything like that was going on or what actually happens. I knew it was like kind of a black period piece kind of thing, which I think you again pretty quickly get from trailers, like if you see any trailers. And yeah, no, that was good. I thought it was good. I know people really like it. I think I am colder than most people who watch it, but I still think it's a really, really good movie.
I agree. I'm like one little movie. Notch down. It's like, I thought it was like, good film, great film, but I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm going to put this on in a shrine or something kind of thing, where I think a lot of people really, really like loved it. I think part of that could also just be like, in a way, like genre affiliation or affinity, where I think for a lot of people, this is like not pinnacle horror, but it's like, oh, it's doing like this genre so well in a way that like it's like referencing. But then I'm not a huge like horror person, so I'm like, this is just like a great movie that was like entertaining and had some like really nice additional thematic layering. Some really creatively shot scenes. It's like
a lot of incredible shot scenes.
It's a yummy film in that regard.
Yeah. Also fantastic music. Obviously, music plays not obviously, I guess, but music plays a big role in the movie, and there are some scenes and sections and performances that are just super good.
Yeah.
From like almost the get-go. Like in the very beginning of the movie, they start hitting you with some banger songs and just like incredible sounds. And it just is a through line throughout the whole thing, which is really cool.
Spoilers? Spoiler time?
I guess we.
Do you have any other non-spoiler things to share?
We
with people?
said a general kind of movie is out. Definitely recommend go seeing it. Even if you're a baby like me, it is not too scary, I think, for most people to see it. There's a lot of like kind of comedic moments of relief, so you're not like the thing I don't like about horror movies or scary things in general, games, whatever, is that like I don't like having that built up pressure of like tension inside of me, and I didn't get that in this movie. I got tension. There's definitely like build up of tension over time, but there's also enough like comedic relief, fun interactions between characters and actors and things like that like it releases the pressure valve enough that it's not you just carrying this. It
definitely was not a movie where I felt stressed almost ever. I definitely was. It is one of those narrative constructions where I forget there's a word for this, but like where it leans into that like you the viewer know things that the other cast like doesn't.
Yes.
Again, there's a very common word for that. I just cannot remember what it is. And so it has like tension in that regard of, I'm literally using a fake example. The milk's expired, and I see Isaiah making a bowl of cereal, and I'm like, oh no, the milk is expired. He doesn't know the milk is expired. But versus like tension, like there's ominous like music, and I can feel like a building, or the tension you feel in, which is funnily enough is I guess almost a spoiler for another movie, but the what's the Jordan Peele film where there was the like monkey?
Nope.
Yes. Like there's a scene where like a kid is like hiding from something.
Yeah.
That like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Because you really don't know like is the kid gonna be found? And that's a very common construction of like monsters in films of like, oh my God, you're hiding and like they're in the closet. Will they check the closet? Like it doesn't have that kind of tension. Like the tension is more, that something is amiss and the characters don't know, so the tension is like, it's more of a curiosity, like when are they going to find out? Is this going to turn out bad for them because they don't know what I know? Versus like in the scenes where like a monster is like hunting, is like lurking on somebody, you and the character that's in distress, you do not know what's going to happen. And you're like sharing the stress. So that's kind of the flavor of tension. It's more of like a curiosity than you're waiting for like, will the knife fall on someone's skull kind of thing,
I would say it is almost akin, which funnily enough there's another one coming out, is like the Final Destination movies, where it's like, I know something's gonna happen, I know like this character is gonna die because death comes for them all kind of thing, but like also like those movies, there's a lot of funny, dumb ways that people die, or like things happen that kind of like, again, releases that pressure. You have a tension while you're watching it because you know it's going to happen, but you don't know necessarily maybe how it's going to happen. And so it's like, okay, it's cool. I can sit through this. I can watch it. Clearly something bad is going to happen, but that's not a surprise anymore. It's a journey of the bad stuff happening. And so like,
it definitely is a journey of like, you don't literally know the end in the beginning, but you almost do, because honestly, there's a
little bit to a degree.
The construction of the film is essentially a flashback in a way. Like they show you a later scene, like this is just like literally like common sense in watching something. So I don't think it's a spoiler, but we'll get into spoilers in a second here. They like kind of start off with like stuff went down, you know, it's like one of the first scenes in the movie. And then you're working like from like, they don't literally say like 2 days before. Actually, they might. I don't remember if they do. Like a day before. Yeah. They're like the day before. So it's like, okay, cool. Something happened to create this scene. And you spend the movie, you know, watching, knowing something's going to happen. And then obviously as you watch the movie, like the sort of picture gets clearer on like what probably ends up happening. Mm-hmm. But it's funny. It's almost like in the, and this happens a lot in games actually, where the fact that it is a game is like a spoiler for the game. It's like, well, I know, almost like, you know, again, I talk about Clair Obscur, the key art having like these party members. It's like, well, I don't think I need to worry that much about finding Debbie because she kind of is in the marketing of fighting in the game. So I think I'm going to find Debbie. You know what I mean? So I just kind of have that, but obviously that's intentional and known. So it's not like, oh, there's no surprises or fun to be had in the movie. But that also, I think, creates some of that relief of like, well, I know where they're, at one point they're going to get to this scene, you know, almost like That's So Raven, right? Where you're like, okay, well, maybe they'll get there in a way that I don't expect.
That's So Raven call is so legit.
Because that's the whole thing of That's So Raven, you know, it's like, okay, well, obviously maybe it'll be in a way that is different than what's presented. But I know that like, I'm going to see this scene.
Yeah.
Now, what comes after this scene? I don't know that. How do we get to the scene? I don't know that. But I know that we're getting this scene later and we're working up to it. And there's like an excitement in that ramp up. Okay, now I think spoilers on for Sinners.
Yeah, going into spoiler mode for Sinners. If you haven't seen it, feel free to click away, fast forward to the poll of the show, go back, listen to the spoiler free section again, and we'll see you in a bit.
Yay! All right, Sinners. Yeah, this movie was like fun as hell. And I loved all the music in this movie. Because music isn't just like a big part of the movie; it's like a key. It's kind of like a, you know, again my stupid English background. It's like music is a character in itself in this film, and I think that's really cool, and beautiful and striking. I guess I'm kind of throwing this on you for a second. Can you give me a quick, I guess, like plot overview, and then we'll start going into maybe stuff that stood out to us in the film that we liked about it, things we didn't like, or things that, you know, just kind of colored our experience.
Sure. So
I will fill in anything that you forget, but
so the movie follows a character who I know his nickname. I'm trying to think of what his actual name.
Michael B. Jordan's character?
No, Preacher Boy. What's like Preacher Boy's
real name? I don't know.
Anyways.
I think they just call him Preacher Boy,
all right,
honestly.
Well, sure. Follows the character Preacher Boy. He's the son of a preacher. And he's a musician. The opening scene is kind of him driving back to his dad's service. He kind of walks in, he's all bloodied and scarred, and he's got like a broken guitar. His dad, being a preacher, is like, oh, you know, cast away the sins, come back to us, blah blah blah. And then it like cuts to like the day before.
Yeah.
And we find out that like, oh, like Preacher Boy he has two twin cousins, the Smokestack twins, one named Smoke, one named Stack, both played by Michael B. Jordan. They come back into town. They move back into this Mississippi town after being in Chicago for a bit.
Shout out Chicago mentioned. I was like, yep. Yeah.
They come back. They have this money. They, you know, presumably made it big, did some really good business deals or something in Chicago. And now they're coming back to Mississippi to try and start a new business venture, being a kind of like music joint, a nightclub almost kind of thing.
Juke joint.
Yeah, juke joint. And so they, you know, most of the movie is actually them kind of like preparing for the opening night to this juke joint that they're opening. They, you know, bought it in the very beginning of the beginning
it just
of
really
the movie.
Feel like an episode in a way, yeah.
They bought it in the beginning of the movie. They kind of like spend the day getting their old friends and colleagues and, you know, people who they know and used to associate with and whatnot to like kind of help put together, you know, food for opening night, music acts for opening night. Help cater and paint.
They had one hell of a day. I know there was two of them. Yeah. There was only one actor, but like they had to do a lot of work because they're like, they bought it and then they're like, we're opening tonight.
Yeah.
From like presumably like
no, maybe it was that there's actually this is like a
day
week or something. Yeah, like
but yeah, they basically did all the main work. I mean, I guess they maybe redid the floors and stuff, presumably, because it was like was it like a wheat place? Oh, a slaughterhouse. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they bought from this like white guy, which was also like a point of contention.
So yeah, so they do this, they prep it. Very early on, we see that there's this Irish vampire who's a sort of the main antagonist of the movie.
It was a sawmill, by the way.
Oh, that was okay, sawmill.
Yeah.
Irish vampire protagonist guy who we see him kind of like trick these other white people to get into their house, to invite him into their house, and then he turns them, and they're kind of like the main trio bad group of people. During the opening night of the juke joint, we see they come up, they try to get invited in, presumably just so they can just start killing people, eating them and turning them in and everything like that. They get turned away. The smokestack twins sent one of the twins, I forget if it was Smoke or if it's I think it's Smoke. It was Stack. He sends his old Boothang Haley's character to kind of like go check him out because she's essentially white and white passing. Yeah,
Stack's ex.
She goes out there, she gets turned, comes back, turns Stack. Then the main crew kind of starts seeing like, yo, what's going on? Things are happening. What's going? People are dropping like flies. They're getting turned. They're evil. They're dead. Annie, who is Smoke's ex, either wife or at least girlfriend, who's like very known into like the supernatural kind of things, recognizes that they're vampires and kind of starts telling them like, oh, get garlic and this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. Eventually there's a big fight between the vampires and the characters who are sort of still in the sawmill house, the juke joint. And a bunch of people come in. The vampires are turning people. They're dying left and right. People are shooting and killing and stabbing and blah, blah, blah. Eventually, the main vampire guy kind of corners Preacher Boy, and he just really wants to turn Preacher Boy. I don't know if it's because my understanding is because Preacher Boy has like a musical affinity or something, and there's something again with the music.
There's sort of like the idea, like one of the core things with the music is like the music is evil, like, or has the ability to, it's not even that the music is evil. I guess that kind of is in a way one of the messages, but like the music has like a supernatural capability. Like one of the things that gets introduced like in the sort of midpoint, like one of the big rising action moments is that if you play and you kind of like can play like well enough and like you really like get into it enough, you can sort of jump across time and like meld time together. So like there's this incredible scene of like him playing, and as he's playing, like you see these other they're kind of spirits, but they do take like for the viewer a corporal form. Like they look like just like regular people in the scene. You'll see like, older African people like coming in doing very traditional dances, and then you also see like modern day like 2020s like dancing. You see like 90s break dancing. You see like twerking. You see like all these different like elements of people playing music across time, and a couple different I think cultures as well. Like one of the big parts of this is they have the like the Asian shopkeepers. So you see like some like members of like the Asian community from like previous like Asian ancestors like coming in and dancing. So it's like all these people dancing together, and the idea that like music can break down time. And I guess like in my perception is like in breaking time, you don't there's like a saying of like sometimes you leave a door open, you don't know who you're going to allow in or something. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of, I'm kind of butchering the saying, but I think that's like kind of, giving the devil away in a way. Like I don't know if the message is necessarily like music is purely evil. I think that's maybe a little bit too like extreme, but there is like something to the music that can turn dark. Specifically, I think to like secular music, because you see music being used in the church and it's like not that way. And that's kind of like, and that's what like the twins, or one of the twins, like proposed to him of like, you can still like play music, but like just go and do the church stuff. Like don't come out here like at the bars and stuff, because like this is the devil basically. So that's sort of, I think, why he's like obsessed with like Preacher Boy in that way. There's that great scene of him hitting him with the guitar, and since the guitar has that steel, silver plate, it like sears into his mind in like a really really cool way. Yeah. That whole scene is just like English major Bible like feast of like the baptism of going under the water and all of that. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool.
I think this is definitely one of those movies where if you're a dumb like me, you're gonna be able to appreciate just the art and display of what's going on, and definitely like, you know, follow the story enough to like be able to appreciate it and like it. But I think there's so many artistic and literary choices that are made that went over my head that didn't detract from the movie, but it doesn't elevate. Like, I'm too dumb to appreciate some of the like layers of artistic art going on in it. So for me, it's like, oh no, I mean, this is a great baptism, movie,
right? Like,
no,
really?
No, not at all.
You got to get on this Bible, Isaiah. That's really where, honestly, so much of my stuff there's also like the English majorness of things. I was very into like literature in high school. I studied it in college, so obviously I gained more stuff there. But so much, like, I was raised Catholic and did catechism classes on Sundays, did my sacraments and stuff, and also a lot of that combined with like being, American in America, just like you. But obviously you have to be able to clock it to like know it's happening. Like, so much stuff is like based on just the Bible. And obviously like the Bible is also, I know some people would be offended by this, because like obviously if you believe in like the Bible, that hits different than like if you don't. Like, I'm an atheist, so I don't find that stuff to be like, I don't hold it in the same reverence or esteem or whatever. But all of this stuff is the same stuff. Again, like the saying of there's only like 8 stories or whatever it is, whatever number that it is. It's like, it's all like Greek myth. And that's also why like some people think like religion's a little, I don't know so much, because there's so many like, so we all have the same like 6 stories, but told different ways. Like, I think, so yeah, like, so you see like a lot of this stuff come up over and over again. So it's like, well, obviously this is like this thing, but yeah, so it's very very tropey in a good way. It was fun for me seeing some of the like, I'm by no means like a vampire because it's a vampire movie basically, and I don't really know like anything about vampires. Played Castlevania, a long time ago, but I don't like follow a lot of vampire lore. But it's funny because through like an entirely separate conversation and I told you this story when we finished watching the film on Remap, we had been talking about vampires and like Castlevania and like whether or not the Castlevania show gets kind of like sexual, and I guess it does. I didn't watch it. I hear it's a really good show, the animated Castlevania show. I just haven't seen it.
I've seen the first season. It's amazing.
And does it get sexual? I don't know if in that first season there's any
not that I can recall, but I also only saw sort of the beginning.
And parts. I was like, what's with that? It's like always like what's up with that?
Why are vampires sexy?
Yeah, and it's because like they're like inherently like seductress characters, in part because of like the physicality of like the biting, and also like because of that they sort of are like these like seducers, whether that's like sexual or just by like talking you into something, which you see a lot of that in the film, of people like presenting. It's not always, sometimes it is sexual. Like the film definitely has like a lot of sexual scenes in it. I guess not a lot. It has
a very horny movie.
It has like 2 sex scenes in it, which I guess is 2 more than some films.
I think,
but they talk about
there's
sex
still
a
sex
lot.
conversations and everything. Yeah,
they specifically talk a lot about oral sex, like eating women out. That's a big theme of the film, and it's like that makes sense when you get towards the like last third, when the vampire stuff goes down, because it is like a feast of flesh. So it's like, oh, they didn't spend so much time. So it's like, oh, it's all like paying off, like in a way, which I thought was really cool. But yes, like they are like the idea of what's her name, Mary?
Haley's character, yeah.
Yeah. Like Mary having that like big sex scene where she like spits into his mouth, which also is like going very viral on like TikTok now. People talking about like, it's crazy that he's spitting mac and cheese in the mouth. It's like, it's just a job, guys. Like, but you know, they're like, oh my God. Like, anyway, but yeah, like that is like part of this whole like the physic, the flesh and all of that. So, so yeah, it was cool seeing like some of those tropes kind of come to life and their take on it and all of that. Yeah, but yeah, it was really like, it was a really cool film. And it was fun seeing, I think, like the sort of vampire as like the devil temptation in a way too, of like, again, it wasn't always just sexual. It was also, you know, people coming up and being like, you know, we can like be together, we can like be immortal, or we can like also have our own freedom. Like that was a big like thing in the film, because the film takes place in 1932, which is like Jim Crow era South, where there's like Jim Crow laws and like racism is extremely prevalent. Obviously, like racism, spoilers, still exists today, but it's like even more ingrained in like the culture, in the law, and part of them having this like juke joint that's like, you know, the forest bias. It's like one of the lines that like is said in the movie. And then this idea of like, we're never really going to be free of like, you know, the white man and like racism and have our own space, because even with this, like it gets revealed at one point of like, oh, like that guy who sold it to you, like he's a Klansman, he's going to come kill you. Like this is never going to work out. So like you only have this like one night anyway. So you kind of might as well just like become a vampire, because then, and then there was also like this like pivot of like, we'll take out the Klan as like a vampire cast in like a trippy way, which also like, you know, the first vampires in the film, maybe not the first Irish guy, but like the house he goes into is a house of like Klansmen.
Yeah. They were also
like you see like the hood in the back or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of like that element too, which it, you know, and towards the end it has that great scene of like of who's left? Is it because I'm like, who turns? Smoke turns. Yes. No, Stack turns. Smoke is alive for a while towards the end, like he dies, but he dies in that shootout with like the Klansmen where he was like, if you come onto my property, like I'm gonna shoot you on sight. And he was like so ready.
About it.
And I love that scene. Like I love in media when you see a bunch of Klansmen get killed. Like that is a trope that like it never gets old. I'm clapping, standing, you know. Yeah, that was a really satisfying like scene to have in there. You always need a bit of the catharsis after the tragedy, you know. So, but yeah, what are some standout things for you in the film?
I mean, again, I'm dumb, so like I feel like there's a lot of the parts of a lot of this movie. I'm definitely not going to do it in theaters.
You're not dumb.
It's so expensive. But I want to see this movie again to see like, okay, now that I know what happens, like I've seen it and I know what happens, I want to rewatch it now with the lens of that.
The
and like
reading.
I guess the second watching. It's like, oh, okay, like they did foreshadow these things, and like I want to be able to connect the literary elements now that I know what to look for. But yeah, no, I think that it was also shot incredibly well. Like I know that you know, the artistic side of it, as far as like the writing and the story and everything, is one thing, but just like the visual shooting, transitions, shot setup, like those are also like, I picked up on my first watch, I picked up on a lot of that. Like, oh, this is really cool. When they switch to we watched it in IMAX, and it's like there are scenes where the camera like opens up and the scene like in a single shot, like it opens up and it feels bigger and brighter, and they do that to like frame the scene a certain way. Like all of that was really, really good, really incredible. I think Coogler is he's already kind of like mastering that craft, I think, really well. Even just like going back to him breaking down some like Black Panther scenes, and like when Black Panther came out, awesome, fantastic movie. It's like he did some breaking down of like, oh yeah, and then we like shot it from here because we wanted to make it feel this and then that, and it's like you could just see this man thinks about all of that stuff, which I'm sure a lot of directors do. But he, you know, expresses and shares that he thinks about it and why he wanted to do something to get a specific feel or vibe or whatever. So yeah, no, great movie. Go see it. I want to see it again, maybe at home when I can pause and rewind and rewatch. And I also had to use the bathroom at a certain point.
Oh yeah, you did have to use the bathroom at one point.
So there's like, I don't know, a 5-6 minute scene or something like that I missed.
I wrote down what was happening. So you could read
appreciate that.
Read it when you got back.
And yeah, so it's cool. To me, this is a great movie. I don't know if I would go amazing.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think, without being more of like again, I'm not a film person. I'm just someone. Yeah,
I think this is
like my bio on Letterboxd says game critic who watches movies sometimes, and that is genuinely like I'm just a regular person.
Yeah.
This is a normie take on Sinners, not a I mean, I got a freaking C in my film studies class, so I'm no filmologist by any means.
Yeah.
Did you have any favorite characters that you want to shout out in the film?
Ooh, honestly, everyone was good. I like Preacher Boy. I liked Smoke and Stack. I even liked the vampire. Like it was everyone played their role really, really well. I thought it was really cool. The Asian couple. You had the harmonica, the like old jazz player. You had Cornbread.
He's honestly like my favorite. Apparently his name was Delta Slim. I'm like, I don't remember saying his name.
Nope.
So his pianist, alcoholic musician. He was just great.
Yeah.
He was like real as fuck for everything that he did and everything that he said. Yeah, I mean it's a really like likable cast. And I think I don't know, it was kind of fun, like the construction of the film of like they sort of assembled this dream team of people to like make this opening night happen, and they all had like I don't know their own personalities and like motivations and things that I think came to life nicely in this like the juke joint that they made became such like I love the like lead up to building it, and then like when you got to be there, like it really did become like a home for the story in a way that felt very like intense. Like you really like gain an affinity for it. I also really like Annie, Smoke's wife. Just because I don't know, she was just dope and she knew a lot of shit. Like you know what I mean. I think that's like a good. And this is what I mean by like when I didn't talk about this part for like Clair Obscur, but like one element of Clair Obscur that's like a little eye rolly for me. It's just not my favorite trope. I get that it's like a very classic trope. Is like the man who isn't good at doing things being like me, and then there's like the like more capable woman who like knows stuff, who just like isn't the leader though. I think they do a good job like not fully going into that, because Annie definitely does play the role of like she is so knowledgeable on like spirituality and sort of and myth and supernatural stuff, but not in a way where like the brothers are like incapable, like you know what I mean, like they like, and they also like acquiesce to what her ideas are like more quickly than like there's not like as much resistance in that way, so it doesn't
I would
feel
say there's like no resistance. Like they very much were like, yo, she said you can't come.
Well, he didn't want to move the body out. His brother's body.
I think that was more just because it was his brother's body. Like, you know what I mean?
But
to me, that was not a negative to her expertise in the field.
No, I don't think it was like about that necessarily, but like there was a little bit of like, oh, I don't know. And then, once it became clear that like, wait, yeah, I think there's like there's some like fucked up stuff going on here. But yeah, I also think so much of this film nicely leans into the like a more realistic like reaction, like when like stuff was going down, and I keep always mixing up like Stack, and so Stack was the one that turned because he's with Mary. Like when Mary turned around and she was like full on vampire, she just got shot in the head like 3 times. Like there was no like, it's like, yes, this is like a real ass reaction. Also, the fight scene that happens is like so incredible.
Yeah, no, the action, there's a surprising amount of action that is like good, and not just like weird.
It was giving Resident Evil 4 before you leave the town, like like that scene where you're stuck in the barn and everyone's coming through the windows. It reminded me of that, but like a bit better, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, man, no, it was good. There's so many good things to like about this film, and like very few, if anything, to dislike. Like I can't think of anything to dislike about this film. Which is crazy. Like that's to me an accomplishment all on its own. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we'll see. Every year I want October to be my ultimate time of horror and spooky things. But every year it's not really what I want to be. I usually dip my toe a little bit into a couple films, but nothing crazy. So maybe we throw that in as a rewatch or something. But yeah, good times. Good times with Sinners. I should maybe consume more vampire stuff. I do think it's one of those films where my guess is that you appreciate it a lot more heavily if you know vampire films more and vampire lore more, just as like what are they doing with that trope and how are they like doing it, versus me being like, I gotta be honest, I don't know if I've ever like how much vampire content I've gotten in my life. I don't think very much.
I know they suck blood.
I don't
and they
think very much.
And like,
I didn't even know that I needed to be invited in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No. I played some Castlevania when I was young, and
well, he's in his own house, so I guess it's
it's like I don't know, like we're going in, right? Or I don't know, there's something going on with that. And then I know it's not 1-to-1, but like never got into Twilight, so don't know what's going on there. Yeah, but good movie. I don't know if this is this the only movie we've seen from this year? Oh
man. In theaters, I think so. Yes. No, I saw one other movie, but I can't talk about it because it was a early screening preview.
Oh, okay.
It was not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is the only movie I saw in theaters this year.
Yeah, I think I am the same. We don't go to a lot of movies. It is expensive, y'all. And I know you can have the AMC stubs, but AMC stubs is really only worth it if you're like going to be on it, and we're not going to be going that often. I still stand by my dream of one day living like basically walking distance to an AMC, and then I would just be living in the AMC, and it would be a pretty sweet life. Okay, cool. Any other, I guess, Sinners thoughts to throw out there before we close out this section?
No, just, Ryan Coogler, please keep doing what you're doing. If you want to ever collab with Jordan Peele, I'm sure you guys will make an incredible, groundbreaking film.
I was
together.
taking notes down when the trailers were going, and I was like, I kind of want that. The other one's it's produced by Jordan, that football movie.
Yeah. I Am Him, I think it is, or something.
Yeah. I was like, I was locked in for that. I'm not gonna lie. So, you just say Jordan Peele watched the movie, and I'd be like, you know
He's
what?
not through it all?
Okay. I was like, you know what? This seems pretty good. I think it's just called Him, actually. But yeah, so we'll see. I'm sure we'll catch some other stuff in theaters. But yeah, this is one of the big ones of the year that people are kind of clamoring over. So it's
I also feel like it came out of nowhere too.
It really did. I didn't feel like there was much like the marketing did not reach me.
Sure,
I'm sure there was marketing, but I didn't really see anything. But yeah, I mean, everyone said it was really good, and yeah, it was really good. Yeah, we won. Successful movie trip. And that brings us to poll of the show. As always, the poll of the show is at gamesandnotgames.com/poll. And last week we asked for the games section, now that we know the price, games, and release date, will you try to get the Switch 2 at launch? 58.3% said yes. Or said no, sorry. Said no. 41.7% said yes. And who knows of that 41%, how many actually could pre-order it?
Yeah. No. Maybe we'll do a bonus optional poll this week.
Maybe when the or you can also just save it for launch too.
That makes sense.
Who's actually getting it? But yeah, we hope that everyone who said yes got their Switch too.
Yeah, I hope you 41.7%. They got it.
And the 58 that weren't interested, they slept well for 2 nights.
I hope they went to bed early and slept in late. You know what I mean?
Yes. And then for not games, we have which American Major League Sporting events have you been to before? Most people, MLB. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that's surprising.
They have the most amount of games and thus the cheapest games.
That's true. Available. I also feel like, actually, I don't know if they have the most amount of teams, but I know they do have. Just
America's
like you said,
pastime.
They've just been around. So like you got time to go to MLB game.
I think too, like, how much of it do you think is the hot dogs? I mean, I know you can eat hot dogs at any of these.
The hot dog is a very
but
classic
I feel like the
thing.
hot dog is better at the baseball game. To be honest,
I went to my first baseball game. I didn't care about the game. I wanted not a Dodger. What is it in Boston? It's
Boston dog. I don't know.
There's a name for it. Now I'm blanking on it. But yeah, no, I wanted to go to the game. I wanted to yell, "Hot dog, get you!" I wanted to catch a hot dog.
Like, are you selling the hot dogs?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I wanted someone to throw me a hot dog. I wanted to catch it.
Did they?
No.
Okay.
No.
But you felt like they could have.
I felt like they could have.
And
yes.
that's all that matters. But yeah, I think that's pretty fun. Second up, NFL. Little surprised by that. Because NFL is kind of hard to watch. Like it's low-key kind of expensive. They don't have that many games. So
I don't think there's that many games, but NFL stadiums are generally big. And so you can always get a lot of people in there.
Yeah, maybe
so if you're like relatively near, and there is a good amount of teams. I mean, there's like four conferences or something like that. So like every major city most major cities have a team. Pretty easy to if you are near a team, generally, even if you're willing to be in like nosebleeds and stuff, you can get a seat. So I think that is honestly probably the second most like opportunistic.
The tailgating is fun too. I think a lot of people like to do the tailgate, which you can kind of only really do at like NFL or MLS.
Yeah.
People aren't tailgating for like NBA.
No.
Which like why? I guess where the stadiums are, they just tend to not be like in big like empty lots.
Yeah, that I think the game is so short. Also, comparatively, I feel like a football game.
I think they're often like at night too. So it's like, why are we tailgating for like nighttime? I don't know.
Also, just college. Like when you think college football is like as big as some major league. Like you know what I mean? Like culturally, it's as big as like some major league. So it's like, oh yeah, especially in the South, bro. They're tailgating. They're doing. Schools are built around the school football, the high school, college football team. Like it's a culture down there. So
next up in popularity, we got the NBA. Yeah, sure.
I feel like if we were to do like, what have you played or what have you watched? I feel like NBA would maybe be a little bit higher.
I don't know. I feel like everyone's watched NFL because of the Super Bowl.
I feel like everyone's watching NFL because of the Super Bowl. I think MLB would shrink.
Yeah, definitely.
And NBA would grow.
Yeah, I think NBA, Edwin, who covers basketball, always talks about it's quickly becoming like more of America's sport than baseball, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And the next up, MLS.
And NHL tied.
And soccer in different fonts, or hockey in different fonts. Yeah, I think this doesn't surprise me. Again, it's not as popular in the US as all these other sports. And I definitely think like I love soccer. I think it is really fun to watch. I think it's fairly easy to learn.
Mm-hmm.
All that being said, if you don't care about sports, you probably ain't casually pulling up to a soccer game. No. I guess obviously if a friend has a ticket and you're like, I guess, but like
a major league, yeah. I feel like I would actually say soccer and hockey are both probably the ones where like what is it, intramural?
Mm-hmm.
Intramural wise, you're most likely to go to one of those. Like,
yeah, sure. Your friend is in a
it's so
league
easy to find leagues
something.
for that, or I guess actually I would say it's easier to find a soccer league or like a hockey league, like a intramural hockey league, than it is to find even like a local organized basketball tournament, let alone league. You know what I mean? Like,
sure, yeah.
You'll find a lot of people at the Y hooping on the weekends, but that's not a league. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I think it just doesn't have. We're not like the fun doesn't like get as felt. I think, and there's fun to be had. We went to the NHL. You talked about it last week about going to our first hockey game, but there's not as much like in part because of how the game is structured. Like MLB. And I think this is another thing that MLB is really good at. They have so much like basic shit for like people to be like, oh, it's 80s night and check out the Jumbotron to see which ice cream cone is the fastest. And they're like, yay, And NBA has like a little bit of dumb stuff, but not nearly as much. NFL, same deal. They're kind of like the same. But like MLS and NHL have the least amount of like dumb stuff to do. Like
especially MLS.
MLS especially. Like NHL, at least they threw those pretzels from the rafters.
Yeah, that was cool.
There's not like rafters like it's just like not the design. Yeah. So I think MLS definitely needs to work on creating like more opportunities for family fun that's like known and like and / casual fun.
Yeah.
And they have like I know like this Sunday they have like soccer fest, but even that like I don't think they do a great job like promoting it or explaining what it is or making it enticing. But
I will say counter to that, MLS has the most like fan excitement involvement compared to any other sport. Like there's chants, the the celebrations when something happens.
Yeah.
You get that in MLS like no other sport. I don't care. You could have a fucking home run, bases loaded home run, bottom of the ninth kind of thing. That is your average score at an MLS game. The excitement that happens.
Yeah,
the celebration
you do get people
happens.
celebrating, but you're right. There isn't chant and community in the same way that there is with MLS and even NHL to a degree. Like NHL has that like the Go Kings Go thing, you know, where the Kings are.
But that happens like for 2 seconds. And
yeah, but that's still more than like what are people shouting at like the Lakers game?
Yeah. I'm talking about the man on the Lakers.
Yeah, no, exactly. No one does that though. Like, I will say, like, in terms of NBA, and curious if other teams have stories like this. I know the Clippers, who are always clawing for attention in LA because the Lakers are more LA's basketball team. They're more popular. They're bigger. More successful. All that stuff. The Clippers, it's interesting them trying to like have some of that vibe with them introducing the wall. Which is basically like a supporter section, which is them borrowing from like soccer culture, which has like the supporter sections are behind the nets or like one of the nets and all of that. So we'll see how that goes for them. But it is more there. I feel like it's a very passionate fan base, like MLS in soccer. And I think that is really fun. So I definitely... Again, I think there's fun to be had casually, but I get that. Like, I think we have work to do to make soccer more casually fun, even within the limitations of like how much there's always action happening. So there's not like time for like, and now the Audi race of the fake cars on the thing, you know, like freaking the Dodgers always have like the food truck race that happens. It's like there's not really time to look at that. There's barely time to do replays, like in soccer, with how fast soccer goes. And NHL has the same struggles as well. But at least NHL, they have more breaks as well, in like the halves and stuff. Anyway, or the quarters or the section. I don't know what they call their little, like, they have like 3 little periods, I guess is what they're called. But anyway, fun to see people's data. But yeah, MLB makes a lot of sense for being the most popular.
Yeah.
Then we had anything else people want to share? I have beat 35 games this year so far. This year so far. The number seems high, but most of the games are ones that I'm able to beat in 1 or 2 sittings. 35 is pretty high. What was your what's your like data for like of the years in recent years? I think that's basically like what I think they've done what I normally take a year to do. I'm looking back. My highest recent history is 2022. I beat 35 games. So they are really really just like, you know, gritting on my grave here.
They beat Spilds 1 through 8 and then a couple more quick titles.
Yeah, and I think the most I've ever had, I might be misspeaking. I think 1 year I did get like 50.
I think you did too.
And that also is like a lot of short like indie titles. But again, I'm still playing indie games now, and I'm not knocking them out like that. So that was definitely don't couch your 35 too much. That's pretty high. What about you? What's your semi-recent, your highest? I don't know how easy it is for you to pull up that kind of data.
I don't have the like I track them, but I don't have the
years
numbers.
Like knocked out. Yeah.
If I had to guess, I would say probably in the 30s to 40s.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever hit 50. 50 sounds like a lot. Even if I'm, and you play a lot more indie games than I do for sure. But like, you know, every once in a while I'll get into a run of like a bunch of shorter games.
I think too, your completion rate, like the number of games you start compared to finish, like you are way higher. You are like, and now I'm beating the game. And then also your ability to drop games is also better. You're better at that than me. You're like, try something for 10 seconds and be like, this sucked, and then like continue on, and I'm like, well, it's time to finish this. or time to like drag this out for like months and be like, I kind of want to finish it. Like, you're very good at like, I'm either finishing it or I'm never
barely
touching this again. Yes. And I tend to like, I leave a lot of things half finished. Much like my plates when I eat. I'm like, oh, I don't know. We have someone else that wrote in and said, I got to see a World Cup match, Denmark versus France in South Korea. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. Okay. World Cup in South Korea was a surreal experience. There was such an energy and enthusiasm for the home team everywhere we went while the cup was going on.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. One thing I really want to do is when we do eventually go to Japan, which we're hoping for next year as like our official honeymoon or one of those. Yeah, as the economy starts to tank, the whole like we got married and then we like bon voyage. I'm like, whoa. I mean, we're still gonna try to bon voyage, but like it's gonna be less of an expenditure
down version
than what we will. It's like you want me to like have a traditional wedding and a traditional no. I know a lot of people were like, it's not really a honeymoon if you don't do it after. Fine, call it something else if you want. Yeah. We going to Japan, okay, next year when we have some time to like scrape together some coins. But one thing I'd love for us to do, we'll see if it's makes sense with our itinerary, is see a match there. Yeah, obviously, we'll not match the energy of like a World Cup by any means, but it's just like fun. Like again, I know it in a way, like every hobby is kind of just another bill for you to have, but I think it's so fun to like. If you like sports, it's such an easy, like when you go out of town thing to like get to gravitate towards that I find really fun. And then we have someone else that wrote in and said, locked in that Switch 2 pre-order.
Hey,
shout out.
Go.
So did we. We'll be there. I'll see you in those Mario Kart World streets out there. I'm doing flip kicks off the walls and all of that.
I'll pick up the 6 maybe when you put it down for a little bit just to try it.
Yeah,
just so
you gotta do at least you gotta
do
some races with me. I know you don't like the game, but just to taste it. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we got into last week. And again, as always, the poll of the show is at gamesandnotgames.com/poll. This week we are going to be asking probably just Clair Obscur and Sinners is going to be the kind of what guides the games and not games stuff. But yeah, that is it for this week. You can send us your questions and topics to email inbox@gamesandnotgames.com. You, of course, can also just write in at the little fill in the blank at the bottom of the poll of the show. You can follow the podcast version of the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. If you enjoy the show, be sure to give us that 5-star rating.
5 stars.
Cinco de mentes.
And if you're an audio listener, remember that you can get the video version over on YouTube at Games and Not Games. If you like the video, be sure to give it a like and leave a comment, as it helps us get the show in front of more people. Give us a follow over on social media. We are pretty much everywhere at Games and Not Games, but mostly Blue Sky and Twitch. And until next time, gang.
Gang.
Peace.